Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be showing you how you can use a group of helicopters to fire at things from out of cover into cover. So this will be kind of a neat little exercise here. So what I have here is a Kiowa Warrior, and what I've done is I've ordered it to lose a little bit of altitude. This chap's going to be acting as our forward observer here. We're actually going to be taking advantage of the terrain in here a little bit. And of course I also have a Comanche, and that Comanche will be helping us out quite a bit here. What I intend to do is use my Comanche here for the purposes of taking the shots, and I want to hide my Comanche, and then I want to use my Warrior basically as the purposes of acting as the eyes of the Comanche here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order my Warrior to go zip up here. I've already adjusted my altitude by hitting F2 and did land cover masking, which is going to allow him to basically stick a sensor up rather than stick all of him up. This is going to cause a pretty substantial disruption in how fast he can travel. It's kind of the downside to this, and I really wish it did exactly what I told it to do because I want it to go over the top of this mountain. So one thing I noticed is my Comanche here is kind of getting a little lost. That's okay though. I'm just going to turn him around, order it into, actually we can probably do a loiter here, just do like a very, very slow journey. My Kiowa Warrior, I'm going to slow as we can get here. And the reason we want to slow down here, so if I take a look at this terrain here, depending on what setting you have under scenario features and settings, if you have advanced terrain here, you might have it be high enough. Problem is, this is all grassland, so there are no trees we can really hide ourselves behind. So I'm going to take my Comanche and get a little bit faster. I can see we have some enemy units on a little kind of peninsula over there, and we're just going to order them to pop down to a hover once we get a little more of that peninsula locked on. That looks pretty good to me. Meanwhile, I'm a Kiowa Warrior here. We've got pretty good sight on what's going on over here. I'm starting to actually identify them as being T-55s, so they're worth taking a shot at. And what I'm going to do now is just kind of bring them around just a little tiny bit more here. Again, we're very, 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 very low, but that is perfectly in my intention here. About 20 feet, so we've got a pretty good lock on everybody, and I'm going to go ahead and order him to come down to a hover at this particular point. So my Kiowa now is going to slow way down. It's actually going to sit here at a hover, making it harder to pick up my radar also. And then I've got my Comanche back here. My Comanche is going to be my shooter here. And now one of the fun things you could do is you can actually get groups of these and have another Comanche on the other side. As a matter of fact, let's do that because that sounds like kind of a cool way to do this. So I'm going to go swing it over this way. I'm going to go send him to actually kind of high altitude. I'll send him to a hover as well. I definitely want him to just kind of get himself all nice and squared away here so that we're going to be able to just fire from both directions. And full stop there. Actually, we can come down even lower. We can do about 100 feet. I think that's fine. So now we have our two units ready to go, and they're both completely concealed. As a matter of fact, if I click on my RAH over on this side, if we go down to my line of sight tool, you'll actually see here that his line of sight is completely blocked to our target region. And if I click on this guy right here, I don't know. Yeah, he's got a little bit of line of sight. I can actually push him further inland here, or even drop his altitude a little bit. My, of course, Kiowa Warrior's got good eyes on everything. So these are going to be communicating via radio when to shoot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my Comanche. I'm going to press the F1 key for automatic attack, and hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to drag a box around them like this. I'm going to grab my other crew member here, hold down F1, hold down the Shift key, and drag a box around them as well. Now what's going to happen here is you're going to notice that these Hellfire missiles, which are laser-guided weapons, are now on their way. As a matter of fact, we can see that there's 13 seconds. And what's actually happening right now is if I switch on to illumination vectors of the selected unit, this unit is actually firing a laser down there and guiding the weapons down onto the target. Now the ones on this side don't really count because they're being fired directly from my Comanche here. But as you can see, we're actually firing the Hellfire missiles over out of the cover down onto my target, allowing us to get basically a freebie hit here. Now, we've seen things like this before using infantry, but when you use helicopters, you have the added benefit of cover if you're doing very, very low altitude terrain masking. Now, I'll go ahead and speed up time just a little bit here and allow them to kind of have their little fun. There's the laser being turned on again, and you can see these Hellfires are just raining in on these targets, and there's very, very, very little these folks can do over on the other side. If they even had an SA-8 or something, we'd be within the minimum altitude, and they wouldn't even be able to fire a missile at us. And you can see the two Comanches have finished having their fun there, so they turn around and head back to base. So you can see that's kind of a neat strategy and a neat tactic, and it doesn't just work with Kiowas. As long as you have something that can communicate to these other units, you can safely do it, even if it was a satellite weapon. Now keep in mind, satellites can't shoot lasers down. GoldenEye. But keep in mind that if they did have that capability, you could basically designate from space, making this whole process that much more exciting for us. Enjoy.